are now introduced as Billy Wagner Hall of Famer. How does that hit you?
Well, it still hasn't really sunk in. When you put HOF on the end of your name, it still hadn't sunk in. Walking through Cooperstown or talking to Jeff Bagwell and Craig Biggio, they are the Hall of Famers. It still hadn't sunk in for me yet.
So you had three guys from the same team, and Bagwell hit on this a little bit. Usually you look at all-star teams and you're like, oh, look, there's three Hall of Famers. You look back on that Astros team, oh, look, there's three Hall of Famers. Is it kind of surreal when you look back on it?
Yeah, of course. I think Baggy and Biff are easy ones. I think there were so many other ones that could have been in that Hall of Fame, But, I was lucky to be on teams that were very successful and team guys that made me look good. And so, longevity puts up numbers sometimes.
What struck you when you went to Cooperstown, just walking around, and what jumped out at you?
Well, when you go in the archives, you start to see these names that you've only heard about, and then all of a sudden you start putting your name in that sentence. It's, with the Whitey Fords and the Koufaxes and things like that, and it's just kind of surreal. You just can't. I can't put it into like emotions because it just doesn't seem real. Even on the plaques and things like that, to say I'm a Hall of Famer, it just doesn't sound as good as some of the other Warren Spahn and some of these other guys.
How special is it, that you're going to don the Astros cap at Cooperstown, having three Astros for this city, for this organization? How special is that for you?
Well, those teams that we were on were very special. We were very good, and we also had guys that were, could have been there too, with Bergman and I guess with the unit there and everybody, we had some really good teams. So I think having three, and in that time period playing together, it's special.
Have you decided that you're going to have an Astros hat on the plaque?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Why did you make that decision?
Well, Baggy and Bish are as close to teammates as you can get, and I have. My kids were here. Everything began here for me, and there's a long winning history here, and so really it was pretty easy to say that. Most relievers bounce around a lot, and as I did, but to have 9 years with those guys was pretty special.
So you mentioned your kids. Will is now up in Toronto. What advice do you give him during the season? Do you let him play his game? Do you kind of stay away? And are you the fan, or are you still dad the coach?
No, you know what? He calls me when he needs something, but I just, we just chat. The game's so different nowadays, and I'm probably more of the fan and stuff. And if I see something, his mom's usually the one telling me to tell him. So, but it's we're excited about his future.
First Division III college baseball player in the Hall of Fame, first left-handed reliever in the baseball Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you, being the first of those two?
Well, when you look back, it's hard to put into words. Baseball's been going on for hundreds of years, and now you sit back and look, and when you hear, titles of first, that's very, it's hard. It's hard to put into, in mind that, you have accomplished something that no one else has. Division III, state of Virginia, left-handed reliever. That's pretty substantial.
Was there anybody that you heard from after the announcement that either surprised you or was especially meaningful?
Well, they all are. It's amazing how all of a sudden the Hall of Famers contact you. And as soon as it came out, the amount of texts were coming in, I couldn't even answer them because they were going so fast. But it was so cool. Johnny Bench, Jim Cott, Jim Palmer, Raleigh Fingers, guys like that were reaching out and stuff. Those are special moments. And, as I've learned that class is like being in a big clubhouse, and, that 1% of the 1% is pretty unique.
Billy,
were those guys that you had talked to before, or are these many people that you have
never talked to Johnny Bench? Seen Johnny Bench, but never talked to Johnny Bench. I did get to talk to him, and that was, still a fan. I'm still a huge fan. So, it was neat to sit there and talk to Goose today, and talk to Raleigh a little bit and stuff like that. They had some good advice.
Billy, do you remember when you first broke your arm? Just the first few attempts of trying to be a left-hander, What was that like, and how long did it take you to get it?
Oh, I was real young. I was so young. I was still, you're at that point of you just wanted to play and do everything. So when I broke my arm at 4 or 5 years old, it wasn't that substantial as this has been made out to be.